The sun rose over the African savanna, casting a golden hue across the vast landscape. The first rays of light touched the tips of the tall grasses, making them shimmer like a sea of gold. It was a beautiful day, with the sky a clear, endless blue, and the air filled with the sounds of nature waking up. Birds chirped melodiously, and the gentle rustling of leaves added to the symphony of the morning. The animals were gathering near a watering hole, a vital source of life in the savanna. Elephants, zebras, and antelopes all came together, their reflections dancing on the water's surface as they drank and socialized. They were there for a special event, one that brought the entire savanna together. The air was thick with anticipation, and the animals looked alert and curious, their eyes gleaming with excitement. It was the annual Savannah Games, a time of celebration and friendly competition, where animals from all corners of the savanna came to showcase their skills and strengths. All the animals were excited to see who would win the races this year. The atmosphere was electric, with animated chatter and eager faces all around. It was a day everyone looked forward to, a break from the routine of survival. The zebras were known for their stripes and speed. Their sleek bodies and powerful legs made them formidable contenders in the races. As they lined up, their black and white stripes seemed to blur with their rapid movements. The giraffes, with their long legs and graceful necks, were also participants. They might not have been the fastest, but their elegance and endurance were unmatched. They stood tall, surveying the scene with their keen eyes. Even the elephants wanted to race. Despite their size, they were surprisingly agile and playful. Their trunks swung with enthusiasm as they prepared for the event, their massive feet thudding against the ground. But everyone knew who the fastest animal was, the undisputed champion of the Savannah Games, the one who had won countless times before. It was Leo the lion. His reputation as the fastest and strongest was well earned. With muscles rippling under his golden fur, he was a sight to behold as he sprinted across the savanna. Leo was big and strong, a true king of the savanna. His presence commanded respect, and his prowess in the races was legendary. He moved with a confidence that came from years of dominance. He could run like the wind. Leo was the champion. His speed was unmatched, and his determination was unwavering. As he sprinted, it was as if the very wind itself was trying to keep up with him. Everyone waited to see who would challenge Leo. The other animals watched attentively, their eyes fixed on the lion. Who would dare to take on the champion? The excitement was palpable, and the stage was set for an unforgettable day at the Savannah Games. The animals started whispering. The forest was abuzz with excitement and curiosity. Birds perched on branches, squirrels paused mid-scurry, and even the usually aloof deer gathered closer to hear the murmurs. Who would be brave enough to race Leo? The lion was known for his speed and strength, and the thought of challenging him sent shivers down the spines of many creatures. The rabbits twitched their noses nervously, and the foxes exchanged worried glances. Suddenly, a group of tortoises stepped forward. Their movement was slow but deliberate, and their eyes shone with determination. The other animals watched in astonishment as the tortoises assembled in a line, their heads held high. Their shells shone in the sunlight, reflecting a myriad of colors. Leo laughed, a deep, rumbling sound that echoed through the forest. "You want to race me?" he roared. "You're so slow!" His voice was filled with disbelief and amusement. The idea of these slow-moving creatures challenging him seemed absurd. The other animals laughed too. The birds chirped in amusement, the monkeys chattered, and even the usually silent owls hooted in mirth. It seemed like a joke to everyone. This was going to be an easy race for Leo. He felt confident, almost cocky. The tortoises didn't mind. They had a plan. They exchanged knowing glances, their eyes twinkling with a secret. They knew they couldn't beat Leo in a normal race. Their short legs and heavy shells made them slow, but they had something else on their side, strategy. But they were very clever. They had spent days planning and strategizing, thinking of every possible way to outsmart the lion. They knew that speed wasn't their strength, but they had other qualities that could give them an edge. The oldest tortoise, Shelley, spoke. Her voice was calm and steady, filled with wisdom. She had seen many races in her long life and knew that sometimes the slow and steady could indeed win the race. "Leo," she said, we challenge you to a race. With a twist. The forest fell silent, every creature holding its breath in anticipation. What could the twist be? The tortoises had everyone's attention now, and even Leo looked intrigued. Shelley continued, her eyes meeting Leo's with a steady gaze. This race will not be about speed alone. It will test our wits, our endurance, and our ability to work together. Are you ready for the challenge, Leo? The lion, still confident but now curious, nodded. I'm ready, he said, his voice a mix of amusement and interest. The stage was set for an extraordinary race, one that would be remembered in the forest for generations to come. Shelley, the wise old tortoise, gathered all the animals of the savannah to explain the rules of the race. With a walking stick in hand, she pointed towards the horizon, her eyes gleaming with a plan that seemed almost too clever to be true. The race would be a grand event, spanning the vast and beautiful savannah. The terrain was challenging, with its open plains, rolling hills, and the setting sun casting long shadows across the land. There would be a clearly marked finish line, a banner fluttering in the gentle breeze, signaling the end of the race. It was set in a natural setting, blending seamlessly with the environment. But the race wouldn't be straightforward. Along the way, there would be several checkpoints, each marked with flags fluttering in the wind. These checkpoints were strategically placed to test the endurance and strategy of the racers. At each checkpoint, a different tortoise would be waiting, ready to take on the challenge. These tortoises were not just any tortoises, they were Shelley's friends, each with their own unique strengths and determination. Leo, the lion, would have to race each tortoise to the next checkpoint. The idea was simple yet ingenious. Leo, known for his speed and strength, would have to pace himself and strategize to win against the slow but steady tortoises. The last tortoise would race Leo to the finish line. Leo thought about it, his mind racing with the possibilities. This was unlike any race he had ever participated in. It required not just speed, but also patience and strategy. This seemed like a strange race to Leo. He was used to straightforward sprints where his speed was his greatest asset, but this race was different. It was a test of endurance, strategy, and perhaps even humility. Despite the unusual rules, Leo was confident. He had always been the fastest animal in the savannah. His pride and determination were unwavering. He believed that no tortoise, no matter how clever, could outrun him. He was faster than any tortoise. His muscles rippled as he imagined himself sprinting across the savannah, leaving the tortoises far behind. The thought of victory filled him with excitement. All right, Leo agreed. Let's race. The other animals cheered, their voices echoing across the savannah. They were eager to see this unique race unfold, curious to see if the tortoises' plan would work. This was going to be interesting. The anticipation in the air was palpable. The animals gathered around, their eyes wide with excitement and curiosity. This race was not just about speed. It was about wit, strategy, and the timeless lesson that sometimes, slow and steady, wins the race. The race began. Leo and the first tortoise took off. Leo was like a bolt of lightning. He quickly disappeared into the distance. The other animals laughed. The tortoises were so slow. Leo was going to win easily. They watched as Leo reached the first checkpoint. But something surprising happened. Another tortoise was already there. It had been hiding behind a bush. It looked fresh and ready to race. Leo was confused, but he didn't have time to think. He had to keep racing. The second tortoise took off running. Lion takes the lead. Leo raced after the second tortoise. He ran and ran. The sun was getting hot. Leo was starting to get tired. He finally caught up to the second tortoise. He roared and raced ahead. He was in the lead again. Leo reached the second checkpoint. He was exhausted. He looked around for the next tortoise. Where was it? Suddenly, he saw it. The third tortoise was already there, waiting patiently. Tortoise from the dust. How could this be? Leo was sure he was faster than the tortoises, but they kept appearing ahead of him. He was too tired to understand. The third tortoise started running. Leo tried to run after it, but he was too slow. He had to rest. Leo lay down under a tree. He was too tired to continue. The tortoises had tricked him. He closed his eyes and fell asleep. He didn't see the tortoises continuing the race. When Leo woke up, the sun was setting. He had slept for hours. He had lost the race. He was a little bit ashamed. He had been so confident. He hadn't taken the tortoises seriously. He decided to go back to the starting line. He wanted to congratulate the tortoises. They deserved to win. As he walked, he saw all the other animals. They were cheering and laughing, but they weren't laughing at him. They were happy for the tortoises. When Leo reached the finish line, he saw the tortoises. They were all there, even the first one. They were celebrating their victory. Leo walked up to them. "Congratulations," he said. "You were very clever. I underestimated you." Shelley smiled. "Thank you, Leo," she said. "We knew we couldn't beat you with speed, so we used our brains instead." The other animals gathered around. They had learned a valuable lesson that day. Teamwork and clever thinking could overcome even the greatest strength. The celebration continued into the night. The animals danced and sang. They had all learned something important from the race. Leo even joined in the fun. He had learned that it was okay to lose. It was more important to be a good sport.
Know you've been a good friend.
As the sun rose again over the savannah, the animals started to head home. They were tired but happy. The annual Savannah Games had been a great success. Leo walked alongside the tortoises. He had made new friends, and he was already planning his strategy for next year's race. The savannah returned to its peaceful rhythm. The animals knew they would never forget the day the tortoises outsmarted the lion.